My name is Bruce Gregg from KeepMeBooked.com, and I'm going to summarize the findings from yesterday's usability test. The first thing we found was that people struggled with the concept of extras. Extras are things that things like champagne on arrival, parking, cots in beds, cots in rooms, that kind of thing. But people found it confusing for two reasons. One, extras appear directly below rooms, and when people first set up their first room, they try and set up extras at the same time, thinking that extras were something to do with a specific room. Actually, they're to do with the whole hotel. And then later, when it came to setting up those extras, no one could find them. They'd click around, they'd click on rooms, even though they'd seen them before at the bottom of the room screen. They didn't find them again. They didn't scroll all the way down to the bottom. So we need to fix that, and we'll fix that by putting rooms and extras on separate pages, so there'll be sub items under rooms, one for managing rooms and one for managing extras. Talking about sub menu items, nobody found setup seasons first time. Everybody clicked on settings but didn't notice that settings had these two sub items, and so they'd come to the first of those two sub items, your details, wouldn't find seasons, click around and wouldn't find it. And you'd think it's clear, but it's just not, because when you click there straight away and your eye is already on this half of the page, you just don't notice that little drop down appearing with those sub items on it. We can fix that by disabling clicking on settings to force the user to click either on your details or on setup seasons. The other thing we found was on the calendar. If we look at this booking here, a booking that straddles two views, as it were, in January, this booking here starts on the 23rd of Jan, but because you can only scroll 2 weeks at a time, you can never see the whole of that booking at once, and users found that very frustrating. Trying to get the scroll to stop so they could see the whole booking in one go. And one user was convinced that this booking had moved. She'd put it in on the 23rd, but now it's starting on the 24th, which it is on that view. It does look like it starts on the 24th, so we need to fix that, and we'll fix that by having two scroll buttons, one to scroll 2 weeks at a time and another one just to scroll one day at a time, so you can move the calendar to see to any view that you want. Another thing we found is that users struggle with cancelling a booking. If they're asked to cancel a booking, they go into booking details and click cancel, right? Obvious thing to do, but actually what that cancel button does is cancels any changes you've made. To cancel the whole booking, you have to click delete, but no one wanted to click delete. That has quite strong connotations. They thought it was going to delete the whole guest or the whole page or whatever. They just didn't want to click it. Even after they discovered that cancel didn't cancel the booking, they really were reluctant to click the delete button. So we need to fix that by changing the wording of those two buttons, making it clear there's one button to cancel any changes you've made and another button to cancel the booking, and we'll come up with some suitable wording for that. And finally, people struggled a little bit with putting in adjustments and extras. So if a user was asked to add a deposit to record that a deposit had been received for this booking, they'd see straight away that it should go on this line here, but they'd put the number, the amount there, whereas actually you want to have the amount there. There's another field for the amount, and that updates that total, and then the description goes here. No one really knew why they'd done it that way. Once they'd been shown, it kind of seemed obvious to all users that of course that's for the description and that's for the amount. But anyway, we need to make that clearer, probably by putting a placeholder here of some sort, just perhaps the word description in grey text, so that people know that the text goes in there and goes in there. Okay, that's it. I'd like to say a big thank you to the 3 volunteers who came along to help. I won't be the first person to say this, but this kind of cheap and cheerful usability testing is so powerful. If you just wait for people to tell you about issues over email or whatever, you've no idea how the relative importance of those issues. If someone says, I'd like the calendar to scroll one day at a time, you might think, yeah, sure, whatever, what's wrong with whizzing it 2 weeks at a time? It saves you some effort. But then when you see 3 users, one after another, clicking back and forth, trying to get the scroll to stop at the right place, you think, okay, yep, you really do need to be able to scroll one day at a time. That's it. I'm going to spec these changes now, and we should have them rolled out into KeepMeBooked next week.